Hello everyone, welcome to the QFAA Interview series. So this initiative is designed to spotlight fascinating individuals from our QF community, showcasing their work, passions, and life experiences. So our goal is to foster unity and inspire collaboration among our members. Today, it is our honor to have our guest, Marcus Ju, who is a graduate from class of 2013. Welcome, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming over to be our guest.
Sure.
So, without further ado, let me maybe we start by briefly introducing yourself. Can you tell us a bit about your background, where you grew up,
Sure.
and do you have family now, and maybe a bit of what you have been doing after graduation?
Sure. I'm born and raised in Hong Kong,
Sure.
studying in the high school science and then business, and then get into HKUST quantitative finance back in 2010, and then graduated in 2013. And afterwards, I joined the financial markets, mainly focusing on equities and equity research and investments. For myself, I have spent most of my time in Hong Kong and also worked in Shanghai for a couple of years. Right now, I'm married with one daughter,
Wow,
1.5 years.
Okay. Congrats.
And now working with asset managers right now,
Okay.
focusing on Asia.
Okay. And you also had your MBA in Shanghai?
Yes, I study part-time financial MBA programs with SIPS. Graduated only last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a part-time program while I was spending my time in Shanghai working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently today our one of our focus is to talk about equity research and working in a big investment bank, also life outside of Hong Kong in Shanghai. So those are the two focus today. So before that, what is the maybe current asset class and your investment strategy?
Sure. For me, like I started my work and career in Goldman, and then as an equity research analyst, focusing on Hong Kong China market, and then I moved to Shanghai, covering mostly Asia universe, and then joined Miri Assets afterwards, covering the Asia Pacific long only asset class. Right now, I'm with another asset managers,
Sure.
focusing on Asia, long bias funds, long bias strategies. It's still a more an active fund management,
Sure.
Fundamental research type of style at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we move back a little bit about maybe working in GS, which is your first job. Can you maybe, for the benefit of our audience, what is the main responsibility of a research analyst in a sell-side firm like Goldman?
Sure. As a sell-side research analyst, usually the analyst if it is a fundamental research analyst, one will be assigned to a particular industries in most of the case and covering a specific geography. For me, as I started my career, I covered the China utilities and renewable sectors. So from a responsibility perspective, I guess, first of all, one has to be knowledgeable on the industry level. So as you are assigned to a particular sectors in a particular countries, you have to have a better understanding on the industry in terms of the business nature, who are the key players, what is the business models of the key companies out there, what is the pricing strategies, policy influence, supply chain, etc. So building the knowledge on the industry level is critical as a sell-side research analyst. Then afterwards, it will be more a company level, which once you build up the industry knowledge, you will have to conclude that into more the listed companies.
Sure.
Okay, as at the ultimate goal is you recommend some of the stock selection recommendations to your investors. And hence, from a company level perspective, I will also separate it into two parts. First is qualitatively, you have to understand the companies a lot in details. For example, on the qualitative side, the management quality, the companies in terms of the internal structure, the compensation, how they drive, how they strategize themselves in terms of seeking growth in the future. And what is the business nature, business models, how they make profits. So those are more the qualitative analytics that you have to build on each of your cover companies. And then on the quantitative side, you will have a lot of assessment on the financial performance of the companies, looking at the end results, quarter results to assess the company's ability to grow the company, top line, bottom line, revenue and net profits, or how they achieve margins, what is the reasonable margins, are they having pricing power against the other players, then the return profile and also balance sheets in terms of debt profiles, working capitals, cash flows, whether it's sustainable or not to fund the capex, etc. So those will be more analytical work, industry level, company, qualitative and quantitative. And I think the final part for sell-side analysts, which is critical, is also to compare that with the market. Because once you have your analytics, you also share with your clients. So you will share your findings, you will share your analytics and outcomes, you discuss with the market. Sometimes you might be above or below market expectations, and you have to interact with the market in terms of how your view differ versus market. And the market flow also influence the share price from time to time. So when investors come back with queries, with policy changes, then you have to assess what is the impacts to analytics. So I think those three parts will be broadly summarizing what I think from a responsibility perspective, what a sell-side role would likely to be.
So how does the maybe a general way to do like your time distribution, how much time you need to spend doing modeling, how much time you need to do report writing, how much time you need to talk to a client, and what are the maybe like key time consuming elements?
Sure. I think first of all, it differs between different levels, junior versus seniors, I guess. And it's also very well-rounded job. So basically you have to cover inside out everything, and you can spend as much time as you want in research work. So I guess at the early start of the career, you probably spend majority of your time doing numbers and doing reporting. I guess half the time will be qualitative analytics, and then half the time will be on data, and then majority of the case will be on client requests.
I see.
As you started your career at the early stage. As you step up further, you will have a lot more interaction with corporates, communications, you have calls, you will have calls with clients as well. Once you publish your reports, you will get on morning calls with talking to sales, talking to traders. So I would say in terms of time split, it could be 1/3. 1/3 analytics, 1/3 modeling, 1/3 would be the time for communications. And as you step up even further, like being a lead analyst, I guess half. So basically half of the time will be on the road, talking to corporates, arranging trips, and then also talking to investors.
So you just outsource the analytical part to the juniors.
I guess you are more familiar, first of all. You don't need that many time. The companies don't really change materially throughout the years. So I guess it's just the attentions where you want to be. You will be diverted more to a communications part of the more, I would say, profit generating type of activities.
So what are like a very good, excellent sell-side analysts versus like not so good average sell-side analysts? What are the key traits of a like star sell-side analyst?
Yeah, I guess you are buy-side as well, so you probably have your own view. I guess for me, I talk to quite a lot of different sell-side. I don't really. I do think every sell-side has something that is helpful for me. And as a buy-side analyst, like talking to most of the sell-side, there's always one to two areas that you find it helpful. And for example, someone may be good at corporate access. You are able to help you connect with senior corporate managements. Someone will be good at modeling. So you can always trust the models in terms of structure. There's no bugs in between the models. No big data failures. There could be some analysts that are good at recommendations. In terms of timing, they have good feedback, good investor feedback. So I guess one can need to be well-rounded to be a good sell-side analyst, but at the same time, one has to have their own strength or branding in a sense that helps you to solidify your leadership in the sectors.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. In some ways, almost like a KOL, right? So the KOL can be very strong in like fundamental, but it can be also very strong in marketing. In a way, or client service.
So there are different ways to be a good sales analyst.
Very strong, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And how does it like? What is the culture of working in Goldman, being the most profitable, most prominent investment bank?
I would say GS I would say broadly similar across different bulge brackets firms. You have quite a lot of different supports from different sectors, seniority, mentorships, and not only in between your regions, you will have a lot of support across regions. So I guess for GS, it's similar to most of the structure for different bulge brackets. You are basically a part of the overall team.
I see.
So you try to add value to the overall teams. As you're junior, you're basically reporting mostly to your managers. So you try to add value to your managers in terms of the day-to-day flow and how facilitating the overall idea for process and also analytics. But as you're seniors, you have to participate more in terms of generating ideas and interacting not only within the research departments, but also with the clients and also with the sales. So you are still a puzzle of the overall large franchise of the firm, but you get different level of support, but at the same time, you have a lot of different responsibility as you step up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's always a misconception from the outside world looking at equity analysts, because like they always have, some retail investors always have this feeling that when the bulge bracket release a report, they are going to support their trading firm or the IBD, there will be something bad coming after. It's like the shark, but then you are like acting as a shark to make retail investors at disadvantage rather than independent research. How much truth in that after you've been there for like many years? How independent is sell-side research?
I guess it's also depending on the positioning of the sell-side analyst. There are some analysts that does similar works.
Really? Okay.
Probably not in the bulge bracket because compliance rules are very strict. But across onshore brokers or local brokers, it's very common to have these type of behaviors. But I guess if for most of the bulge brackets, when you are proud of your analytical work or cross-sector work, I think the whole approach, again, is still to help the clients make money. And also trying to add value to your clients. So I guess it is only part of the overall job or agenda at the end of the day. So yeah, to me, at least in my career or in my path, most of the analytical work is still very solid across different senior analysts in terms of what they do day to day, etc.
Okay, fairly independent. So it's a very myth. I think it's a myth in the market. Right. Okay, great. I think that's about it for Goldman Equity Research. So you also live in Shanghai, I think, for how many years? 3 years? 4 years?
Yeah, I worked in Shanghai within Goldman franchise 2 to 3 years. As the company was expanding the Asia coverage back then, I joined the team in Shanghai, so spent some time there, and also did a part-time master degree over there.
When that was when you started.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was overall a pretty good experience.
Yeah.
As you are working in the investment community, you try to open your understanding or talk to different people. There's always different biases across different investment community, different investment approach, different mandates as well. So I think getting to know the clients a little bit more, being on the ground, and at that time it will be a very good, important I would say important kind of a middleman, connecting the views between foreign investors versus domestic. Even for now, it's still the main job for a lot of the foreign brokers.
Okay.
Connecting the voice domestically versus foreign. But of course, the information availability is a lot better, and also coverage for foreign bulge brackets is a lot better right now on the Asia market. Yeah.
How do you compare working in Hong Kong versus working in China? Because they have this 996 culture in China where people work extremely hard, but it's less so in Hong Kong. But just in general, the working culture in Shanghai, how does it feel?
I guess broadly is similar. I would say, at least from a bulge bracket perspective, most of the work ethics and timing and responsibility is broadly similar. Culture-wise, responsibility-wise is also similar. To me, it's more the clients is different, content is different, your social group is different, and a lot of the time, I guess. Hong Kong, if you are socialing outside, you mostly are financial industries type of people. But in Shanghai, you have a lot more diversified type of social groups that you are able to open your networks out there. But from a work responsibility perspective, I don't see a huge difference around that. Yeah.
Okay. How about pros and cons of living in Shanghai?
I guess having study or worked in somewhere else is always helpful to broaden your views or understanding or your social groups. Because right now, when I go to China across different cities, I'm able to find friends out there. Easier to mingle and network. And you also have, from an investment career perspective, you also are able to have a lot more information out there. You build your own social group, you build your own investment community, then you are able to understand how the investment mandate works in onshore China. And you have a better understanding when the market moves over time. So I guess personally and also from a career perspective, I would say for anyone that has the opportunity to work outdoor, outside, I think it's still a pretty interesting experience for everyone to cope with. Yeah.
How about negatives working in Shanghai? China?
I think negatives back then, you are forced to do a lot more travel.
Really?
Because in between China, a lot of the travel is a lot easier.
Okay.
So for an analyst, you have to be on the ground for a lot of the colors, for a lot of the information. So if you are in Hong Kong, you have the excuse that, it's too far, I'm not willing to fly, it's costly. But in Shanghai, it's just a high-speed rail, right?
Okay.
So it's cheaper, it's much faster, so you are, I would say, more incentivized for you to go everywhere across different regions for site visits, for trips. So I guess from a content perspective, you will spend a little bit more time on that front, on the roads. And you are also needed to see a lot more investors across different regions as well. You have to travel to Beijing, Shenzhen, Hangzhou, Shanghai, Guangzhou areas for meeting clients. Versus in Hong Kong, you basically just, it's very close community, right? From an investment community perspective. So from a marketing needs perspective, we will be a lot higher in working in Shanghai.
Yeah. How about food and things to do? Is it better in Shanghai or in Hong Kong?
I guess probably similar to Hong Kong. You got a lot more choices. The space, of course, is a lot larger out there. You got a lot more choices to pick. But other than that, I don't see a lot of cons for you to, from an experience perspective. It's similar to right now, Hong Kong people go to Shenzhen as well, because the choices you got a lot more. So
but I remember your apartment was 1,000 square feet at 15K.
Yeah, I think it's cheaper from a rent perspective, but it's a lot more spacious from availability perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just an experience to me. I think it's not a pro or con basically. It's just an experience because you have to be adapting to the local community and also living environment.
Okay. But the tax rate is higher, right? You pay local tax.
Yeah, tax rate is high.
Do you get higher salary?
I think yes, but I forgot. Yeah.
Okay. So overall, actually, it's still relatively pleasant.
Yeah, experience. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great to hear. Okay, next, maybe we'll talk a little bit about fundamental investing, right? Because both of us are in this field. Maybe to start with, what is the investment philosophy that you believe in?
I guess for me, when I pick stocks, I try to pick the compounders. Compounders to me is important.
Sure.
And
maybe explain what
Like
compounder is.
compounder more meaning companies that are able to grow in whatever scenarios or whatever context. They are usually more flexible. The strategy is more resilient and the balance sheet is good. So they are able to do things that they can do in a down cycle, up cycle, and they're able to grow the TAM addressable market regularly to able to sustain the growth of the company. So I think these compounders in a way I would say receive pretty positively for investors across different regions, and particularly in Asia, people look for growth. So for these compounders, it's critical from growth perspective, and they're able to deliver growth consistently, and particularly for the ones that are able to expand their addressable market regularly. That one doesn't really stick to their own industries, but are aggressive enough and strong enough to able to tap into different new verticals. So I think those are the companies that I tend to focus a little bit more. And on the downside, we try to pick the companies that are better managed and better executed. So to me, it's not for the upside. It's more for protecting the downside. You don't want to invest in the companies that are doing dumb stuff or dumb actions from a corporate governance perspective. And with those companies in mind, we also try to overlay that with industry trends. Because when industry is moving fast, or when there are opportunities that come through for company to tap into, I think those are the pretty good tailwinds that for these compounders, they are able to gain or grow a lot faster under that context. So in terms of industry trends, tailwinds, when it comes through, a lot of these compounders are able to grow much even faster than what they are able to deliver in normal periods. So I think those two to three are the, from a selection perspective, is some of my criteria.
I see. Do you think your philosophy is closer to Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, Ben Graham, or like?
I'm not sure, but probably not Warren Buffett, because Warren Buffett mostly focus on cash flows, right? It's less a growthy type of strategy. So for us, at least in Asia, I think growth is still
growth at reasonable price.
I think GAP is an easier type of choice at the moment.
Got it. And do you actively incorporate AI in the investment process as a firm, as a team?
Yeah, I think we always try to. We have been regularly consulting different AI firms or different other buy-sides on what's happening out there or what's available tools. So yeah, it's always in our pipelines and thought process to do that. I guess recently you are able to see a lot more terminals are doing that, like Bloomberg, FactSet, they are launching their own type of FactSet tools already. So those are pretty good facilitating tools. We also use a lot of large language models to facilitate the process, or some of the software to facilitate your meeting notes, etc. So I think those are some of the tools that we have been regularly adopting at the moment.
Okay, cool. And for your universe, what are maybe the most exciting areas for investing maybe next 3-5 years? What do you like the most? Without mentioning company names, but just general.
Yeah, I guess at least for my sectors, usually industry trend doesn't last for 3 years, unfortunately. But I guess for me, right now, I guess first of all, power trends, infrastructure trends remains to be topical. Partly AI, but partly just the country or the regions need infrastructure. For example, if you know, like there's an outage in Spain yesterday. So the whole country is out of power. So it's basically just indicating that you need a very strong power infrastructures to support whatever electrification trends or AI trends or computing trends that you are having. AI is still only a very minor portion of the overall consumption. So I guess 5% or 10% or even less. So to me, it's not the critical part. But of course, it helps in like gathering investor interest. So I think power infrastructure remains to be something that's needed in particular developed markets.
Which country or which particular segment within the power that you like the most?
There are a lot of power tools or power components that are used in building the power grids. There are many power components out there. So there will be manufacturer based in Korea, Japan, China, I think some in Europe, US, Mexico as well. So it's a global supply chain.
But best one in where? these days in Japan? Or
I guess many of them have their own leaderships, and I guess it depends on how you pick it. You want to pick the ones that have a high exposure to the US or Europe, because those are the ones that needed the most in terms of upgrades. So I guess that's one theme that we are looking closely. I guess second theme that we're looking closely is the defense, aerospace and defense trends. It has been a global trend under the geopolitics and the war, and we have seen a lot of interest out there across regions. Like US has been asking different countries to increase the budgets on defense, so it benefits a lot of the local supply chain and also exporters as well under that context. So it benefits a lot of the players under that themes out there. So it's a sustainable theme and tailwind for a lot of the key players out there.
Okay, thank you for sharing your money-making ideas. Okay, let's come to our last part, which is more related to just the QF program. So how is the connection amongst your cohort after graduation?
I guess we're still in touch. To me, I'm mainly talking to the ones that are working in the finance industries and mostly equity investing, because the job, the roles, with sharing similar views in China or views on stocks, equity picking, etc. So those are usually the ones that I hang out regularly.
Is there any trend between your cohort? Have they moved a lot to the UK or immigrate outside already?
I think a few, but not obvious in terms of trends. I think mostly are still sticking with the jobs in terms of where they pick at the very beginning.
Where do they usually work in these days? Is it still in finance industry or move on to other areas?
I think mostly are still in the finance industry as of now.
Got it. And what do you think? We have this QFAA established, so just in past 6 months. Apparently, we are very new. Any advice what we can do more?
No, I think it's a very good initiative. We always wish to have something, organized way to manage the alumni network. It's a useful network for everyone to stick together in the financial industries or across industries, basically. So, it's helpful to have finally programs or finally associations to work it out. I guess. Just a lot.
You mentioned there's this come home activity in your EMBA, maybe. How does it work?
I guess back in for my part-time, or as I look across different MBA programs, you're able to see they often ask the alumni to come back to schools or organize some events. 5 years, 10 years, to kind of like memories or gatherings type of thing. I think if it can be something regular for every class, I think it would be something at least on top of their mind. Okay, next year is 5 years, or next year is 10 years. So why not gather, right? Using, I don't know if any budgets or I don't know if any clinics. At the end of the day, I think people need some slogans, some excuses to catch up with each other.
For me actually, our batch we did a 10-year trip together somewhere. Okay, good. Okay, it's a very good suggestion. Thank you. Next question. So, because we are like a new organization, 2 years later, I'm not going to be the president. Will you have interest to be a president candidate?
You can't rule out the possibility. You will continue the next step, right? Same for the
I'm not Trump.
Same for the other president. So I'm open to.
Okay, thank you.
But let's see.
Because we know each other for a long time, you are a very credible, responsible person. So thank you for the interest. Okay, last 2 questions. How do you relax for your weekend? When you are stressful?
I don't relax a lot. I guess.
So you're workaholic.
I'm more workaholic type. So basically, I will finish up some of the reports or keep updated on the markets across different regions. Because at the end of the day, for research role or investment role, you have a lot to read, and they are all interesting, right? At the end, it's like reading newspaper every are the minutes, but maybe a little bit more detail
Sure.
with the analytics and also some actionable ideas
Sure.
on what to trade, what to do. So I guess that's quite a relaxing time for me,
Really?
reading all these, because to me is a way to learn and to develop, and yeah, to me that's a good way. The other, I guess, is just a normal exercise over the weekend.
You do running?
Running, yeah.
Okay, running. Okay. Last question. How do you manage your own investments?
To me, majority is still on equities for my investments, because at the end we are working in the same we are in the same industries, right, on the equity side. So why not, right? And equity vehicle is a lot simpler for one to get hold of at the moment. So for me, because the mandate is mostly Asia for our funds, so I mostly spend most of my personal investment in the US or Europe
in US.
to avoid conflict of interest. So that's usually how.
Do you buy single stock or ETF?
Both are open to me, so I would do both at the moment. Yeah.
And you're like a very long-term investor in your personal investment, or?
We have holding periods, like, as you know. So holding periods, then it won't be a day trader for sure. But I guess when the news comes, when the investment comes, then yeah, we are quick on those news or getting those analytics, right? So I guess I'm open for both short-term and longer-term investments. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for your time today. Yeah. If you have interest to talk to Marcus and seek his opinion on anything that we talk about today, you can leave a message. We'll always be able to help you connect to Marcus.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.